Hello and welcome to the ninth episode of the Knitting Teaspoon podcast. Today is Friday, April 13, and I'm Lisbeth, your host, and this is a podcast which is mostly about knitting and occasionally also other crafts, and you will see that this week, indeed, I do have another craft to talk to you about, and I am so happy that you are here to, well, listen to me babble about these things, but also to share a bit about what you're doing. Let's just start right on the top of the episode. I don't know if it's anything in the UK or in the US or in any other country, but Friday the 13th is like supposed to be a bad day, bad luck day. Well, to me, it doesn't really feel like a particular bad luck day, although I think my neighbors just started vacuum cleaning upstairs. Bad luck? Well, this is obviously something that more podcasters have troubles with, like that people suddenly start making noise in the neighborhood when you are starting to record. Anyway, that's not what I wanted to talk about. I've had a bad week. Actually, while the last episode went live, I was taking a hike from Tilburg to Eindhoven, which for me was approximately 37 kilometers, or that's close to, I think it's around 23 miles if you're not used to metric. And that day I discovered that my bicycle got stolen. So here I was after walking like 23 miles in a day, my feet covered in blisters, and while I was planning on being able to cycle for the rest of the week, yeah, there wasn't a bicycle anymore. Bad luck, I guess. Not only my bicycle got stolen, also my boyfriend's one got stolen, and I'm pretty sure plenty more in the neighborhood. It's a sad thing. I had a look online, and apparently about 20% of the Dutch bicycles get stolen every year. 20%, that seems crazy, but this is my third bicycle that got stolen in my life, so unfortunately it isn't really a rare thing. It's very unpleasant though. Anyway, yeah, that was the one of the less fun things. I've also not been feeling very good, but no, it is nothing to worry about too much. But I am still awaiting some results from my doctor. I had some doctor's appointments this week. Nothing to worry about too much, but I'm still awaiting a call. So I do have the sound turned on my phone. I usually don't have this or even have my phone near me while I'm recording, but this time I have, and for good reason. And I hope I won't get interrupted. And if I do, of course, I will press pause and quit recording, obviously. Anyway, so let's talk about the regular podcasty things, because after all, I guess that's what you're here for, not to hear me ramble about having a bad week, because everyone has a bad week every now and then. So, what I'm wearing, this is an Agnes top, and I'm pretty sure you've seen it before, but yeah, it's a pattern by Tilly and the Buttons, and I still do love their patterns a lot, and yeah, I would totally recommend it for beginner sewists. I think I've shared it as a finished object in one of my first episodes. I'm not really sure in which one, but you know, it has been there. I'm quite sure of that. I've also been thinking about why I haven't been sewing that much lately, and I figure out the reason why, and I think it's because one of my pets has passed away in the beginning of March. I totally forgot to mention it, but it was the one that celebrated his fourth birthday at the 1st of March, and he passed away about a week later. And my pets are very social animals, so they have to be together to be happy, so they are kept with two in the same cage, and I had to find a new friend for the son of the pet that passed away, and because I had to make sure that they would like each other, not fight each other, I had to slowly build up to the final cage size that they live in now. And this means that I had a separate cage on the table where I usually sew. And if I look to my right, I can see that the cage is still there. I haven't tidied it up, and that's a bad thing. I should have, but I totally didn't. So there, my sewing space is occupied by other stuff that was more important at the time. So yeah, no sewing. So I am back from a little bit of a phone call-y interruption. Unfortunately, it wasn't my doctor calling. It was some random person who didn't even state their name, but apparently has dialed the wrong number. I think this person has called me before. They only said one word and then hung up the phone. That seems weird to me. Usually, if you want to find out you have some other person on the line than you were expecting, I'm usually kind enough to like say a few sentences, you know, to know what's going on. I mean, this just seemed rude. Anyway, bad luck day, maybe? I don't know. Well, so I think I've talked about my Agnes top already and about my lack of sewing a little bit, and I would like to continue with a work in progress. And one of my works in progress has been my spinning this week. It has been a lovely spring weather, and I have some gorgeous trees outside that I can look at from my balcony, and they are amazing. They are in bloom, or actually I think the bloom is almost over by now already, but they have these gorgeous pink flowers, and it is amazing to look at. I remember that I moved in here quite exactly a certain number of years ago, and the flowers were in bloom at the same time of year, and it is such a delight to look at. I mean, it's amazing just to see how gorgeous those flowers are, and now the grass below the trees is covered in flower petals, and it's still lovely to look at. There are still quite a few flowers in the trees, but now you can see all the green leaves also starting to grow, and it's still lovely. And all through the rest of the season, those trees are still pretty. And actually, because I'm not living on the ground floor, but on the first floor in European terms, so we have a ground floor, and then above that we have a first floor. I think in America the ground floor may already be called first floor. I'm not sure about this, but I read somewhere that there is a difference. I don't know a difference between which countries exactly, but I live one floor above ground level. That should be understandable to most people, I think. And these trees, they actually give quite a bit of privacy, because once the leaves get through, I can't see anywhere until those trees, you know, there's trees in the way to block my view, but they offer some privacy as well, which is also kind of nice, I guess. And looking at green growing things is always good, I think. Anyway, I was talking about my spinning. You can totally notice that I am having an off week, I guess. Anyway, I have talked to you before that I was working on spinning some fiber from a spin spool, and I have rebraided one of their braids. It's the same color as I've been working with previously, but this braid definitely has more of the darker tones in it. It's not as pretty braided as it was when I bought it, so don't blame spin spool for this. This is something that I totally did myself, but this way I can just like pull out one more loop and then take off a piece of the braid and then spin with what I take from the braid. Yeah, that's how I like to spin. And this is 100% merino. Previously I've spun with 100% BFL blend, and I'm planning on making it a 50-50 blend by applying 2 strands of both types together into a 2-ply. And well, I don't know if this is such a great idea, but I thought I would show you my work in progress on the wheel. So I will lift up my wheel. So let me just get that for you. So here I am behind my spinning wheel. Ooh, wheel's turning, that means fiber is twisting. As you can see, this is not a very modern spinning wheel. It is quite old. Things like they don't have, this is not called a gear, it's, I don't know, oh dear. I used to be in mechanical engineering. I should know what these kind of parts are called. I think it's called a bearing. This is actually a piece of leather. So this will, you know, when leather and metal are next to each other, the leather will definitely get more worn out. I'm so lost for words today. I really don't know any of the technical terms about spinning wheels. So this is my wheel, and I don't know if I can really turn over the wheel to show you the work on the bobbin, because one of the benefits of this wheel is that it's like I can take off parts like this easily. But not only this part, and that means that things might fall off. So I will take off this part with the bobbin that I spun already. It's a full bobbin. So I have one more bobbin, and I'm hoping that it won't come up when I'm trying to show you. Here it is. And I totally can't see what I'm showing you now because there's an entire spinning wheel in my way. But you can see that that this bobbin is not nearly full. I twist the end part of my spinning around this bit. I don't know if this is something you should or shouldn't do. I don't know. I'm not a professional spinner in any way, but this is how I do it. I just park it away and then can pick it up from there the next time. And this is how much I've done. It's not that much, but it was fun. Anyway, this is my spinning for this week, and I totally hope you can see that. I hope you've enjoyed this tiny little spinning wheel show off intermezzo, but yeah, this is the wheel that my grandma purchased years ago, and she's used it a lot, and yeah, I totally love it. And at the end of the month, I will see my grandparents again, and I am totally hoping to be able to show off some of my spinning to them. That would be very nice, I think. So I still have quite a bit more work to do if I want to spin it all before then, but we will see how things go. I mean, still half a month away, so still have some time at least. So I've already rambled a little bit about me taking a long hike, and I thought I totally need a new pair of socks to work on while I'm hiking. In the end, totally didn't need at all while I was walking, but you know, I did cast on a new pair of socks on the way to my drop-off point, and I actually knit a toe in the car, and I was just about one round in the straight part when I was dropped off. So that's right, just in the red part. You can see these are socks that I'm knitting for my boyfriend, and they are out of long super socks yarn here in this color. Still have the label on the skein because apparently that's how I roll. And this is colorway 3, I think. Apparently, colorway 3. I don't know if that means that this is the third color they ever came up with, or maybe it's the third color of the series 901 or whatever. But you know, it's a fun color. My boyfriend picked this out when he was with me on my in my local yarn store. This is from Bloemendaal Wool, which is a yarn shop in the neighborhood that I would totally recommend because they have an awesome selection of yarn. And I was trying to pick up some yarn to knit more socks for my boyfriend. Not that I didn't do that recently already with some other shops, but now at least I can knit him at least 5 more pairs. So, and this is one pair that, or one to be pair, it's still a skein, you know. But this one he picked out because he really likes his blues, and there's obviously quite a lot of blue in this skein, but he also really likes the vibrant colors, and that's actually quite fun because you know, the other pair of socks that I've also been working on this week is a more muted color, like this one, but I will get to this one in a bit. So this sock has been cast on Saturday morning, right around the time when I found out that my bicycle got stolen. And I've been working a little bit more on it this week. Oddly enough, most of the rest of this sock has been knit while I was walking, but not on my long hike, on other bits and pieces that I've been walking this week. So then there's another project that I just talked about a little bit as well, and it is these socks, and I don't think they have changed that much since last time. I think I was working on these socks while I was editing the podcast, and I don't think they've grown significantly, and there's not much more to say about these, but these are out of Regia yarn, and I'm totally blanking on the colorway number again because I always do, but it's some sock yarn, and I'm still knitting away on these socks, and I can totally notice that I knit a lot slower on these wooden or bamboo needles than I do on my metal needles. So yeah, so I really prefer my higher sharps, which are in this project. And as you may notice, these needles, I don't have tons of these needles to cast on more socks. I've actually parked my other socks, which are behind me here, on another set of needles just for storage purposes, and I haven't worked on them at all this week. I think this is going to be a very rambly and messy episode, so I'm sorry if that bothers you, but yeah, that's just the way it is this week. So I've been knitting on socks for my boyfriend, and I've been spinning, and then there has been one project that has made an appearance every single time, I think, in this podcast series, and it is my blanket. And you may not be able to see it very well, but it has grown an entire row again, which I'm quite proud of. And I think these 3 squares are the ones that I did yesterday evening at my knit group. I totally like to go there. And apart from those 3 squares, I've woven in all of the ends that I had, like the ones on the top row. I don't count those as ends that I still have to weave in because I like to first knit next square and then weave in the ends. I talked about this before, but I totally like to do this. Since I don't think I've shared that much about this this blanket before, but you know, these ends I should have been weaving in already, but I didn't, and these I'm totally fine with that they're still there. So that's my way of viewing them. Yeah. Anyway, so I don't know how much I've talked about this blanket before. I did talk a lot about it before, but I don't know how much I've shared about the details. But the yarn that I'm using is mostly Drops Fable don't know how you would pronounce that. And all of the colors except for the purple one are this yarn, and I totally don't know what the purple yarn is. I think it might be Schoppel, a German brand, I think. Drops is a Norwegian brand, I'm pretty sure of that. Yeah, and I'm knitting it on 2.0 to 2.0 millimeter needles, or US zeros, and yeah, the outer part is a log cabin-ish style garter stitch something. There's a lot of squares like this, you know, this. Showing things on a podcast, totally difficult. But you know, this is one square, and then I crochet them together to make an edge, and then the center squares I pick up stitches along the sides, and then decrease them. So at the beginning these tiny squares go a bit slow, and then suddenly you have a finished square, because the needles or the rows get shorter and shorter as you work them back and forth. So yeah, that's probably what I wanted to talk about considering the blanket, and I am loving this project, although I must admit that at this point it is getting kind of warm to work with a blanket on your lap, you know. It's getting springy, summery. I think outside temperatures are around 20 degrees by now, and which is I think around 70 degrees Fahrenheit. And yeah, it's getting lovely and springy and nice and warm, and I totally don't need to sit under a blanket all the time. So my blanket, making a lot of progress, and I'm so happy. I'm getting so close to the halfway point. 2 more of these rows of tiny squares. You totally can't see the total size because I know it doesn't fit on my camera, but 2 more of those rows and I will have a half blanket. Yay! I'm so excited for that. And then there is one more project that I've been working on this week, and this is my XOXOXOX cabled cardigan, which I've totally not been working on the cables, but I've been working on the sleeve. And this is the first sleeve, and I think it's almost finished. I think I want to add in 1 or 2 more centimeters, which is probably around maybe 5 more rows or something, not that much. And then I can start to work on the other sleeve and work on the body. Yeah, so that's my progress on this. This sleeve is from a pattern that I'm totally improvising as I go, or actually I've planned out quite a bit in my knitting journal, or my knitting design journal actually, that I've shown you a bit about the last time. And this is out of tuanti-wool. It's grown from sheep locally in the region where I was born and raised, and where I went to visit my sister a few months ago already. I've seen my sister more often since that, but I visited a yarn shop with her, I think it's over 2 months ago now, and I've purchased this yarn there, and I totally love it. And it's each stitch, and I'm back after yet again a phone call interruption, but this time it was my doctor, and yeah, the news I got was pretty good, so that's nice, I guess. So yeah, I think I was talking to you about my last work in progress of this week, which is the sleeve of my cabled cardigan that I'm designing, which doesn't have any cables currently, so it feels kind of odd to call it a cabled cardigan. I'm knitting it out of the tuanti-wool knitting yarn, knitting wool from Twente and the Achterhoek, and it is totally lovely. And yeah, I enjoy working with this kind of rustic yarn, and I wanted to add a bit more of the rusty feel by giving this project some structure, and that's why I've chosen for seed stitch and a cable. So I think that's about everything that I had to say, and I hope this doesn't sound like too much of a depressing podcast, because I've been really off this week. I mean, I was frustrated because my bike was stolen. I was not feeling very well because I had a lot of blisters on my feet, which made it hard to walk on them the first 2 days after my walk. And I've also had some worries about another medical issue, but I just got good news, so it's apparently not as bad as I was fearing. So that's kind of a relief, actually. There's been one amazing bright moment in this week, and this is when people contact me about my podcast. I really like it when you guys let me know that you're enjoying my podcast. It really means the world to me, and I can say this with words, and I don't feel like they describe it well enough. How happy it makes you when you finally kind of achieve your goal, because my goal for podcasting was to get in touch with the community, and I've seen new subscribers, which makes me very happy. I'm so proud of having subscribers here, and yeah, that it makes me so happy. But when people send me personal messages, I'm like, yes, really, that high. I get that high. Ask my boyfriend. I know you totally have no idea who my boyfriend is, but if you could ask my boyfriend, maybe I'll drag him along to some yarn event, and he will be able to confirm that I'm really jumping up and down in my chair and dancing across the room when people get in touch. So it may sound completely childish and silly to you, but I think children just experience their emotions of joy very raw and pure, and sometimes I get so close to that feeling that I'm behaving exactly like a child on their birthday, and I like that feeling. So totally not ashamed of being like a child on my birthday. And yeah, so and with that, I would like to thank you so much again for watching. I hope you've had a better week than I did. Spring is around, at least here in the Netherlands, even though it has been rainy as well, but you know, that's part of spring. It is, well, it's just so lovely to have you guys here to talk to, and it really means a lot to me. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you have had a good week this week, and that you will have an even better week next week. Have a lot of fun with your knitting or other crafts, and I hope to see you next week. So